We recently took a poll on what videos you guys wanted to see, and the votes are in. Food prep. Yeah! Eating the right amount of food can be tough. It takes a lot of time and effort to make meals and calculate what you're having every day. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've slowly gotten out of shape because I didn't prepare my food ahead of time. Finding myself grabbing something quick and easy, but knowing deep down it's the wrong choice. Now, that is a slippery slope, and once you start sliding, it's hard to stop. That's why food prep can be extremely important, not only in building proper eating habits and getting in the right amount of nutrition consistently, but also saving a lot of time. That's why in this video, I want to go over some great meal prep options, some of the mistakes I've made in my nutrition over the years, and some tips that'll hopefully help you in reaching your ultimate goal, to get buff. Yeah. Now, before we get to the rest of the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to TLF for helping to make this video possible. If you're interested in getting some great clothing, check out tlfapparel.com. And if you pick anything up, make sure you use our code TLF-buff to get 15% off. The link is in the description. So first things first, you gotta have the proper tools in order to food prep. Now, my go-to items are containers. Now, I like to use glass containers because they can last a long time, they keep food really well, and you can reheat food in the microwave over and over again. Now, the cons to this is they can break, so you do have to be a little bit more careful with them, and they're also more expensive than plastic containers. The next one is gonna be a food scale. I mean, this is essential if you want to know how much food you're actually having, whether that be in grams or ounces. It really helps you to track the amounts of either calories or macronutrients so you know exactly what you're having each meal or each day. Another great tool to have is a calorie and macro tracking app. What's great about this is you can set a goal for yourself. You can set the amount of calories you want to have every day and the macronutrient percentages. Now, this really goes hand in hand with your food scale. In order to make sure you're having the proper amounts of food, you weigh it out, but then you're able to enter it into this app and it calculates how much you're having. And most importantly, it's gonna be a cookbook. Now, I'm using a lot of the recipes I'm doing today straight out of our Buff Dudes cookbook. Now, I think of cooking much like construction. You have a blueprint of what you wanna build, you have the supplies you need in order to build that certain thing, and then you have a step-by-step how-to guide in how to do it. And that's exactly what a cookbook is. So, now that I've picked out the recipes I wanna build today, it's time to get the supplies. We don't really go out on dates, we just go shopping for food. This is basically our special time together. It's the only time we get out of the house. So we just made it back from getting our supplies. Now it's time to start building. Now, I'll typically make overnight oats for my breakfast food prep, but I've covered that many times in the past, so I feel like I'll do something a little bit different today. Although you can find the overnight oats recipe in our cookbook if you are curious about that. But today I'm gonna be doing some baked oatmeal muffins, and these are the things you're gonna need for it. Oatmeal, eggs, strawberries, applesauce, milk, cinnamon, baking powder, salt, protein powder. All right, so first things first, we're gonna start preheating our oven to 375 degrees. I like to mix up all the dry ingredients first and then move on to the wet ingredients. So I'm gonna start off with 3.5 cups of oatmeal. And I really like having the majority of my carbs in the morning. I'll typically stick with oatmeal for my food prep. It's really easy, you can buy it in bulk and you can make a lot of it, and it's really cheap too. So we got 3 scoops of protein. I usually like to try to get at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's done me really well over the years, especially if you're really active. I feel like that can help quite a bit. We got our dry ingredients all mixed up. It's time to add the wet ingredients. I feel like it took me a while to get into cooking, but once I started getting a little bit more regular with it, once I started trying different recipes out and learning how to cook, you start to learn what goes well together, but also you start to learn the variety that you can use in the same foods that you love. There's tons of different recipes you can use oatmeal in, so that can go a long way. We're gonna be throwing the muffins in the oven for 40 minutes, which is a pretty decent amount of time, but these things are thick, and we wanna make sure they cook enough. And as those are cooking, it's perfect timing because we're gonna be starting on our next food prep, which is gonna be lunch. This next recipe we're gonna be using to prep our lunch is coming straight out of our Buff Dudes cookbook. It is the chicken tenders done 3 different ways, and here's the things you're gonna need. Chicken, egg whites, spices, rice cereal. In our cookbook, this recipe calls for 8 ounces of chicken, but this is food prep after all, and we want to make a lot of food. So I'm actually going to be using 3 pounds of chicken, so it changes the amounts a little bit, but that's what's so great about recipes. You can always adjust them accordingly to whatever you need. So first I'm going to be starting out with pouring in 6 cups of rice cereal into a bowl. Now the goal here is to really crush it up and mash it. But I found that's a little difficult in a bowl and it's really messy, so putting it in a bag first, letting the air out, and then really squeezing it and crunching it up makes it a hell of a lot easier. After that, you want to pour it in a bowl, and this is when you're going to add your spices. So we're going to be adding 6 teaspoons of garlic powder, 6 teaspoons of chili powder, and then put in some salt and pepper to taste. Next, I'm going to be adding 1 cup of egg whites into a separate bowl. Now I'm going to be cutting up some chicken breast. Now, of course, this is the chicken tender recipe, but I don't really like the consistency of chicken tenderloins as much as I do chicken breasts. You get that tendon down the middle, it's a little bit stringy. So I just like to cut up some chicken breasts into chicken tender size. So now you're gonna be taking the chicken and dumping it into the egg whites and transferring it over into the rice cereal bowl, coating it really good before putting it in your pan. And there you go, that's the recipe. Extremely easy, very fast, and I gotta say, one of my favorite recipes. So we have breakfast and lunch taken care of. Now it's time to start on some dinner, and we're gonna be doing some broccoli stuffed meatloaf, and these are the things you're gonna need. Turkey, broccoli, egg, milk, breadcrumb, parmesan, mushroom, onion, garlic, parsley, cumin, chili pepper. Now that we have everything we need, we're gonna start by steaming some broccoli. Dice a half an onion, mince some garlic, and chop the steamed broccoli. Once we have the proper amounts, it's time to saute the mushrooms, onions, and garlic. Pouring the breadcrumbs into a bowl, we're then gonna add the milk, cumin, red pepper, and parsley. Mix. Time to add the sauteed mix. Now, the ground turkey. Drop in an egg and mix. Plop half of the turkey mix in a pan and make a turkey boat. Pour in the cheese and broccoli and add the rest of the turkey mix on top and seal the seams. Put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 50 minutes. There we go, dinner is done. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner taken care of, but it's always good to have some other foods ready for you. So we're gonna be making some rice. It's really easy to make, it's cheap, you can cook in bulk, and that's what we want. That wraps up my food prep. Easily done in an afternoon and takes care of meals for a week or so depending on how much I decide to eat. Now my biggest mistake starting out was not prepping my meals and not being able to consistently hit my macro and calorie needs, just really blindly guessing on how much I was having. But once I started to invest the time in making my meals and tracking what I was having every day, I started to immediately see results. I looked better, I felt better, and I no longer had the stress of feeling I didn't have enough time. I would also recommend you finding foods and recipes you truly enjoy. Now this will ensure you look forward to eating and makes it a hell of a lot easier to sustain good eating habits. And this is some of the exact reasons why we made our own cookbook, giving you the tools to enjoy food, reach your goals, and have fun doing it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck with your food prep, and as always, stay buff. Yeah.